everybody and welcome to In My Mug, episode 127 on Monday the 18th of April 2011. My name is Steve Layton and I'm really embarrassed because people are watching me record this. Thank you very much for joining us again. What I'm recording today is In My Mug in Google in Dublin, which is really cool. The guys have very kindly invited me to come and have a tour around and I thought it would be a really cool place to do In My Mug because the guys here really love great coffee and we know we've got a few subscribers of the In My Mug too, so really cool for them to invite me along and thank you very much guys, much appreciated. The coffee we're going to be talking about today is a special one I've been saving for a special occasion. It's that new to me that I'm kind of going to have to follow some notes today to make sure I get all the details right, so kind of do bear with me looking at my laptop a little bit as I'm recording. The coffee's from Bolivia and there's a little bit of a story behind it which I'm going to go into first. On my trip in August, was it August or July? I get mixed up whether it was July last year. We were doing a cupping at the exporters mill and they put me on some amazing coffees, like some really stunning ones. But there was one that got me super excited. So we were cupping this coffee and I was just like, I was doing my little dance when I get really excited about a great coffee. And I was like, I love it. We went down and we talked about which one was which and I'd scored this one something like 96, 97 points. So I was saying, I really want to get this, tell me more about it. And what happened, unfortunately they put the wrong coffee on the table and it was actually already sold. I was furious. I was like, don't give me things I can't buy. So anyway, went on, came home, couldn't get this coffee out of my head. It was really kind of sticking in my head. And the exporter phoned me, emailed me in January and said, we've actually found that the person that was buying 12 of the bags has pulled out. Do you still want it? Well, by this time the container had already sailed from Bolivia. It was already on its way and already arrived and we'd unloaded and we're selling it. And it was like, well, I can't move it. And they said, let us worry about that. Do you want it? And I was like, okay. So they put it in somebody else's container without telling them that it was coming to the UK. And then about 2 weeks before it arrived, I got a phone call saying, have you got some coffee coming from Bolivia? And I was like, maybe. And it was this. So it's a super lot that we weren't expecting to get, and it just kind of arrived. So it's part of our direct trade agreement as well, which is also very exciting. Its name. Now, most farms will have a name and that gets attached to the coffee. This farm actually doesn't have a specific name. And talking to the exporters, we were like, well, what do we call it? Well, where it is, it's called Colonia Bolinda. So we've decided that we're going to call it Finca Bolinda because we have to call it something. We can't just call it that Bolivian coffee that I got by chance. So it's going to be called Finca Bolinda, which I think is a really cool name, and we're going to have to talk to them about why is it not named, because it seems really silly. But we have got some farm coordinates, and I'm going to show you a picture on the screen now of the Google, a little bit of a plug for Google again, because they need some plugging, because they're this really little company that are building themselves up. But Google Earth picture of where the farm is. It's in Caranavi, which is at the very bottom of the death road. So if you go from La Paz to Caranavi, there's this road which is very famous for being incredibly dangerous. I'm going to show you another picture now of when I cycled down it because I laugh at danger. The altitude of the farm is 14 to 1600 metres, so fairly lowish altitude actually for Bolivia. You tend to find there's a lot more out there, but it just shows you how unimportant altitude really is. The farm was founded in 2000, which again it's a very young farm, and when they first took over there were only 3 hectares of coffee actually planted on the farm. It's expanded and it's grown and it's now 10 hectares and it is a mixture of Caturra, Típica and Cataí. So all varietals that are very popular and very common in Bolivia, and yeah, it's very cool. A massive yield from such small hectares as well. They seem to be doing a very good job with looking after the soil, looking after the farm and basically making sure everything's going properly. I think also a lot of that is because of the altitude, because it's a little bit lower than some of the farms in Bolivia you tend to find. They've got a much more increased yield. The guy who owns it is called Felix Copacale. and I had to read that because I can remember the Felix, but nothing else. And he's basically worked on the farm for 8 years. Before that, he had nothing to do with coffee whatsoever. But the first thing he did when he got the farm was bring in the exporter to say, right, what should I grow? Can you get an agronomist to help me to make sure that we get the very best out of the land? Which is obviously a very good thing to be doing. Quite like to think as well he's the same age as me, and I don't know why that's a link at all, but it just makes me feel nice inside. He lives on the farm with his family, and he has, I'm just thinking out, children. I know he has children, but I can't remember how many. 3 children, and they help on the farm when they're not at school, as does his wife, and I think that was also kind of nice when there's a family involvement. The family are 100% dependent on coffee. It is their main income. It's what they're completely about. Again, I like it when it's that way, because when we pay a great price for the coffee, they obviously feel the benefits, and we have paid a great price for this coffee. When they sent it, they didn't tell us how much we'd be paid. We just said we'll have it. Let's just say it's a lot more than Machacamarca was this year, which we think is a stunning coffee too. But I think it's right up there on a par with the Machacamarca, and I hope that you're going to think so too. So, I'm going to whap you on pause. I'm going to go and see what Dale's doing, because Dale's making me the coffee today, not me. And I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I'm back. I'm going to dive straight into the espresso. So first of all, a little bit of a... Now, I know what I'm going to expect with this coffee, because I remember it from when cupping it, and I've been drinking it like all week. But you're going to get lots of sweetness, and you can just smell the sweetness coming off the espresso. It's like, it just smells sticky, and I know that it tastes sticky. So whether I'm kind of seeing because I know, but it just smells amazing. Okay, so with the espresso, you get this acidity, and it's there, it's sitting underneath, and one of the guys was saying like a candy kind of taste, and I completely get that. It's like a sticky candy, kind of, not chocolatey, but there's an underlying chocolatey, and then it finishes on this beautiful honeycomb. Think Machacamarca, but think Machacamarca with a little bit more complexity to it. It's a little bit more of a kind of grown-up Machacamarca, if you like. It's a crowd pleaser as an espresso. I mean, that's been sitting on the side for a minute, 2 minutes now.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, and it still tastes amazing. That is a really good espresso. It is very, very good. This is the one I'm looking forward to. But that's pretty much a highlight. So into the milk. I did this art, of course, on here. Dale had nothing to do with putting the love heart on top of the cappuccino cup.
Thanks. It's a really good one too.
Yeah, it actually is one of your best ones. Why didn't you do that in competition? Okay, milk. I think it's lost a little bit, and I think because of it, that sweetness of the milk, it just kind of sits there. It's not bad, but I'm not a fan of milk. What did you guys think in milk? Was it?
Yeah, it was diminished.
Yeah, it definitely disappears just a tad. But then that was a stunner. I think that's probably one of the best shots I've ever had from you, Dale. So well done.
Thank you.
No problem.
You fill me with praise. I grow every time we
I'm so mean to him. Love you really, Dale. Right, into the brood. Okay, so I've done a Chemex, because I always do a Chemex, because I love my Chemex. I didn't do it with my lovely little fancy device though, did I? No. Okay, the acidity is actually brighter here than it was in the espresso, which I wasn't expecting. When I've had this in the past, I've got like real drinking chocolate, big time drinking chocolate, sticky, gloopy, and it's sticky and gloopy, but the drinking chocolate isn't in this one. Perhaps air travel doesn't agree with it, but it's much more, the acidity is much more, and that candy thing really comes out in the brood. I love that descriptor. I am going to steal that if that's okay. Your candy one, because that's going on the pack, because I think it is. It's just sweet, sticky, sweet, delicious. I love this coffee as much as I loved it in La Paz. I think it's a really special coffee. It's one that should be enjoyed, but it can so easily be quaffed. You don't have to think too much about enjoying a coffee like that. And anybody who has sugar in their coffee, give them that and they'll kind of go, actually, I don't need sugar in that, which just shows what a great coffee it is. So, 3 things to know about it. It's from Caranavi, which is obviously in Bolivia. It is an absolutely delicious espresso, and I think that's a really key point for it. 3rd point for it, and I like to do 3 things, I can only really think of 2. It doesn't really work in milk. That's the best one I can come up with. So, order of preference. Espresso 100% for me. Brewed coffee, cappuccino. Listen, thank you very much for joining me as always. Thank you very much to the Google guys for letting me come in and do this and just show me their cool place. And do remember, life is too short.